So there were so many different challenges that I was facing. So we was just solving problems. And then on this journey, I'm learning how he thinks, how he deals with situations. Okay, we need to get Rightmove. How do you negotiate getting on Rightmove, because their prices are extortionate? So all of these different things, you know, and I thank God for this all of the time. I've never learned so much in such a short span of time.
What's going on, people, and welcome back to the Blackprint, providing aspiring black entrepreneurs and business owners the blueprint to start your success story. I'm your host, Bainey, and today I am joined by a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I've got Sean Zvandasara in the building, people.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Bro, thank you very much for coming down. I know it was just a little bit of a journey for you.
Nah, it's not too bad. Quick hour and a half, nothing too long. All good.
As we were discussing off air, it's half term, isn't it? So there wasn't too much traffic.
Yeah, traffic was all good, smooth, roads were quiet, few phone calls on the way. We're good. That. We're laughing.
Love that. Well, Sean, for those who don't know,
yes,
who are you?
Brilliant. So my name's Sean Zvandasara. So I am the founder of Renowned Homes. So Renowned Homes is a new homes agency. We specialize in selling new build properties. So not only just sales, we also do rentals. So it was quite fortunate when we managed to scale up to 6 figures in our first year.
Wow.
And that was within 6 to 7 months we managed to hit that line. So yeah, we're going beyond and beyond. Now we're at 7 staff members and we've got a different arm of the business as well. So pretty interesting stuff.
It sounds very interesting, and I'm excited to dive into this one, especially 6 figures within 6-7 months.
Yes.
7 staff members.
Yes. 7's lucky. The blessed number.
Well, we were discussing our respective teams, and obviously 100%. The number 7 at Man United is a very cherished number, right? So no, brilliant. All right, let's dive straight in then. I mean, where did it all begin for you then?
Yeah, so I mean, look, there's the pre-story, but there's where the actual career started. So I'll probably jump into the career, and then conversation later might swing us backwards. So I started off my career at a company called Foxton. They're one of the leading estate agents. Getting my foot through the door was super difficult because I finished university with a business management degree, kind of expecting like all these different companies just to be handing out jobs. We had this preconception, right?
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't that, because we had no experience directly in the property field. So I was quite fortunate where my friend at university ended up getting a role there, and long story short, she referred me and I got that job. Nice. So I was covering the North East London region. And imagine, it was super difficult to get in. So when I got in, I was literally like foot to the throttle. Like every day, it was like 8 to 9 p.m. sometimes. First one in, last one out. Managed to really make my way and make a footprint, I suppose, in the company within itself. And then obviously promotions started to happen. I'd done a viewing with a gentleman who actually ended up owning a lettings agency company. Fortunately, I didn't sell him the property, but we got like a house on fire. Was talking about 3 months, and then I gave a business proposal for opening up a different arm of his business, which was the sales and the new homes part. And yeah, that done really, really well. Long story short, we left Foxton, and now I'm working at this company. So as opposed to the traditional sort of, founder journey of starting a company from inception, I was in an already oiled machine that had staff, that had system, that had processes, but was still a small company.
Yeah.
So the experience within itself was different from the traditional starting your own company. So yeah, I mean, look, that was, a wealth amount of experience that I got there. Was learning how to, deal with staff at this time, staff that was older than me also as well. Learning how to actually win clients, learning how to generate leads. When you're in a corporate company, everything's kind of handed to you on a silver spoon. So, super different experience. But yeah, that went really, really well. We managed to do really good. That was the Help to Buy market as well. So as you could imagine, people, yeah, it was just a booming market to say the least. It was a good time. So that went really, really, really well. And then interestingly enough, was making quite a lot of money, and I was actually getting married at this time. So you can imagine I'm juggling marriage, I'm juggling a business. My business partner as well, we've made quite a lot of money. Things are changing within the lettings business, which needs me involved. So I'm learning not only a lettings business, but I'm also still learning how to be a director of a company, how to assert myself, how to deal with staff, how to deal with, compliance, fines, left, right, and center, all of these nuanced things, right? Which is not spoken about on podcasts, right? Because you only hear the shiny object stuff. So yeah, learning all of these meta little things in the midst of trying to sort of get married as well. During the time, things started to slow down a little bit. And for one reason or another, my business partner ended up moving to Dubai. So at that point, as you can imagine, about to get married, business partner moved to Dubai. The company within itself was starting to sort of lose the traction and the speed and velocity that was operated in. Okay. So at that point, we're like, me and my business partner are very good terms still, but he just moved over to Dubai. I'm thinking, okay, cool. This is a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's time for me to start my own company. So yeah, from that stage onwards, there's a whole other phase after that, which I'm sure we will unravel.
Yes, I'm excited to do so. Now let's talk time frames. Then you joined Foxton's when?
2018, end of 2019 actually, March 2019.
March 2019.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
So I was there up to 2021. August, I remember that's when I left. So 2021, so I was there for the fair most part of 2 years and a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you would have, because obviously we had COVID and stuff like that. Yeah. What was going on then?
Yeah, I mean, look, during the COVID period, I was actually just getting that, what was it called? Furlough. I was getting that furlough money. At this time, I was just plotting because I had a small e-commerce business during that period, which was a shoebox company. Okay. It's actually called Footprint London. Okay. So it was like,
you say shoebox?
Yeah, translucent boxes, which essentially you could just put in your shoes, stack up your shoes. So
those, okay. I've actually got some.
Okay, yeah. Who knows? I could have potentially sold you some.
Potentially.
Yeah, that was a nice little business. Like I said, I've had an entrepreneurial past even before getting into Foxton's. So, I was kind of doubling down there. I was just opening up my mind to the idea of when I go back, how am I positioning myself? How am I going to be leveraging the experience and the journey that I've had in Foxton's to a new venture? Because I always knew I was destined to be an entrepreneurial business owner, business tycoon, whatever word you want to call it. So it's just a matter of working with the resources that I had, the information that I had, the people that I had. So when I went back after the furlough period, my mind was kind of set. I was very much open. So subconsciously, I kind of framed myself to opportunities. And I think that was a massive, massive game changer because that's when I done a viewing with somebody that was a business owner. And what was absolutely paramount was he was an hour late to our first viewing, but I stayed there. Okay. And that was almost a sign and a message to him that this guy is hungry for business. This guy is tenacious. My constant follow-ups, this was the things that attracted him towards me. So you become that person before the opportunities come. If you're doing all of the right things, it's almost natural that opportunities are going to come. So that was...
You know what they say, that luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? And it kind of sounds like that's what you capitalize on at that point.
There we go.
Which is brilliant. Okay, so Foxton's through 2019 to 2021, you mentioned how obviously you met this person. Now, you've just spoken there around your entrepreneurial spirit, how we just said obviously luck is opportunity meeting preparation, and that being relevant because you took the opportunity when you met this person, or sometime later maybe you brought up the idea of a business. Where did that kind of underlying entrepreneurial spirit come from for you?
Do you know what? I've been very, very fortunate where my mum from young, she was always, she's a teacher, so she'll always be feeding us books. I think of the age of 16, I went to like my first property event. So naturally, she always knew that I was business oriented, even my grandma as well. So, she would give me money to start ideas. Like I remember this Forever 21 business is like, Acon, is it Acon, the sort of pyramid scheme type of thing? Like I've been on that, from way back into the day. I've sold dresses on eBay, I've sold Ralph Lauren polos. So all of these small little, I've had my own events management company at uni. That was a good success as well. So I've had so many small things that have presented themselves where I always just took that risk because I've had that first initial encouragement, and I suppose I've been kind of programmed by my family in a sense, saying that, yeah, this is who you are. I think, those, words of affirmation and, reaffirming an identity that I never really knew at the time, it kind of now, when you do see certain things, you say, this is meant for me. So I think that's been super, super powerful. And that's what I intend on sort of projecting to my children also as well, reminding them of who they are, giving them these words of affirmation, reaffirming who they are, declaring these certain things. So I think it's sort of derived from there. And I think I've just always been that kind of like wheeler dealer guy that always wants to do a deal. And it could be the smallest things, from going to a Nando's, what extra can I get? Can I get some extra fries? If I'm going to a McDonald's, all right, cool. What, I'm going to get that triple cheeseburger, watch. Like these little things, like little brownie points, my social circle's been like that as well. So iron sharpened iron. So naturally, just being around that, doing little, social experiments, doing little exercises here and there, going into coffee shops. What is it that I'll change about this coffee shop if it was my own business? I was in Denzel's in White City one time, and then I ended up buying just ouds. And then he was like, how did that work? Why was it that was walking past? What was it that he done? My other friend, he was like, oh, you want to buy this? Trust me, you want to buy this. So it showed me, I smelled it, he put it on, next thing you know, I'm purchasing it. So we broke down that whole process. We deconstructed it completely. So, these things are pivotal, just having that mindset of breaking down why you're spending money, where you're spending money. What is it that they done in order to actually get me through the door? Was it because I wanted it? Is it because there was a need within inside of me? Did they sell urgency? Was it scarcity? What was it? So I think these things they're always within my mind. And my company now, that's how we always are, and that culture is really, really important. So yeah, kind of derailed a bit, but yeah.
All good. And so it kind of sounds like you obviously mentioned there maybe a bit of a wheeler dealer, but you like to obviously try out a few things, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's interesting because I feel like it sounds like you have an idea, whether it's small, it could be big, but you kind of just action and see what happens there, right?
Yeah.
So talk to the listeners around that and just the attitude and mindset of just trying and going out, because that's ultimately what the idea of this podcast is, right?
Sure.
People with ideas who are just sitting on them, not necessarily taking action. But you've clearly just demonstrated there that if you've got an idea, you're gonna act.
Yeah.
So talk to the listeners for me on that one.
I think it's important to identify times where I haven't actually done that first and foremost. So there was actually a time, I think I must have been probably like year 8. There was this girl that I really liked. Yeah. Permit me to just derail a little bit. Please, we're gonna come back in. But
I already know how this is landing already.
Yeah, there was this girl that I really liked, and she caused me to sweat. Like as in, like I was nervous to even approach and go talk to her. And this must have been for weeks, for weeks. And unfortunately, I ended up actually losing that girl to somebody else because I hesitated. It's as simple as that. Because of hesitation, I saw somebody else. I don't think they had the accolades as me. I was fast. Bear in mind, the merits and the currency in secondary school. It's not about money. It's about who's funny. Fair enough. Maybe who's on a football team, who's fast. You know what I mean? So I had a few accolades there, and just through hesitation and not being willing to take that step, unfortunately, she went with somebody else. But turns out a couple of years later, me and her then were friends, if you know what I mean. What's understood don't need to be explained. We leave that one there. So my whole point in that is that when I went home and I thought about it, obviously I'm upset because emotions kicked in now. Why isn't it that I just didn't talk to her? What's the worst thing that could have happened? And then I remember that was a pivotal actual shift for me to taking steps, saying that the worst thing that could have happened is just a no. But chances she actually ended up liking me later on. So it was not the fact that she didn't like me. It was just the fact that I wasn't willing to create that opportunity or set that premise for that to even happen. So that was a pivotal change for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to lose out on the thing again. I'll rather get a no than what could it have been? It could, because a no means, okay, next, what's next? And I feel like that philosophy is powerful in business. The more no's that you get, eventually you're going to be getting closer to a yes, especially if you're analyzing yourself, reviewing it, and then coming back better, you know?
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I knew that story. I feel like a lot of guys could resonate with that one. So, guys, if there was ever a girl in the past that you missed out on, Just take that lesson, apply it to business.
Yep, take the leap.
Go after what you want.
Go after what you want, exactly.
Nah, brilliant. All right, cool. So let's bring it back now to, so we are 2021.
Yeah,
you
2021.
met who turned out to be a business partner.
Yeah.
How and why did you have an idea? Bear in mind you were already working somewhere. How and why did you have an idea to expand his business, basically?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I knew what I had and I knew what I didn't have. And I think that's super, super important, having that objectivity with yourself. I knew for a fact I was really, really good at sales. I knew the new home market. He didn't know the new home market. The new home sales market is an emerging market. Developers are consistently buying and selling. And that's the thing where loads of people within property are interested in, just because the nature of the business model is an infinite amount of product that you have to sell, as opposed to a resale. A resale, let's say my mum wants to sell a property, it's just strictly her. That's the only property that I'm going to be getting. I'm going to be battling and fighting with 8 other agents. But let's say a developer, let's just call it Barclay Group developer, they've got 500 properties in one development. That's a consistent flow of product. So I knew from a business perspective, a lot of business-minded people are very interested within that space, but they don't have the know-how, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have, the understanding of the process, how everything goes. But I understand that. But what I didn't have the business experience. I didn't know how to set up companies. I don't know what a normal day-to-day within an actual business looks like, because I'm just specialized within my role. So I knew through presenting that business proposal that only opportunity can come from there. I can only get better. I thought about this is a crucial point for anyone that's sitting on the fence of taking that step. With the exact skill set, resources, work ethic that you currently have, are you earning the most amount that you could be earning? I sat down and I asked myself that question, and I was earning good money, considering my age. I was earning some good money at a company car.
And we just said it was during the Help to Buy as well.
Yeah.
Sales are flying.
Yeah, it was printing season. Was doing all right. Was doing okay. So things were all right. So, I had to ask myself and be super, super candid, saying, am I earning the most that I could be earning based on these different assets and resources and skills that I have? And the truthful answer was no. So I knew taking a step would create that. And being bold is such an untapped power, that's not really spoken about a lot. Being bold and stepping out and doing a podcast creates all of these opportunities. Being bold and putting yourself on social media, being bold and starting a business, being bold and, going up and doing a public speech. These are the things that create opportunities that most people will never get these opportunities because they just won't do it. Yeah. So there's a lot of reward in being bold. And I kind of started to realize, daily sort of questions I ask myself, what is it that I'm willing to do that most people are not willing to do? Hence why I even started making content, because I'm a type of guy, I'm a very extroverted guy, but I'm like, let me just chop bread and just live a quiet life. Mrs. Family, easy. Do you know what I mean? But I realized in order to get to that place where I want to go to, content is the route. Content is a currency. Personal brand is a currency right now. Yeah. Can open up certain doors that money can't.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely want to come on to that, because I think I even said to you about watching some of your videos. So when did that start for you, the content side of things?
Truthfully, I think that probably would have only started where are we now? Probably last year, November, if I'm not mistaken. Last year, November. Yeah. I think that's where that probably would have started. So it's not really been too long. But one thing that I can say I'm very, very proud about, and praise God that we've been able to do it, has been just consistency.
Yeah.
So from last year, November, pretty much every day, if not every other day, we're producing content, whether we're delivering content, because content's lifestyle. Every single time there's content there. How do we just make it all work? So I think it's the consistency that's the most important thing, because you can start something, go for a week, but you won't see the rewards of that because you haven't even given it enough time to grow. It's like planting a seed. If you're not watering that seed every single day, it's not gonna fruitfully grow. It's not going to grow according to the measure or the route or the route is meant to grow at. So I think the consistency has been the thing that I've been most proud about. That since November or wherever it was sometime last year, we've been pretty consistent just off the back, every single day. Matter of fact, it was actually December. It was December. I remember that. December, we built a system, got the right people in place, and then every single day, content coming out, and it's learning. My whole thing is you don't need to be 100% clean of the way. If I'm 70% there, great. The formula is build, optimize, scale, create, refine, grow. These are just different variations. So MVP, market viable product. That's it.
Love that. What do these systems look like then from a content creation? I'm not gonna lie, I'm asking this question from a completely selfish perspective because I'm trying to do this content thing as well, and I need to get some sort of system in place.
Cool. No, it's a very, very good question. So I've got an amazing content creator that I work with. You know, a gentleman that works on the back end with me. So I think is understanding the value within people and how to utilize them and working according to their strengths. So he specializes within content. He knows the platforms from TikTok. He understands Instagram. He understands LinkedIn. So it's getting somebody that understands that stuff and then me providing the strategy. Then we take a look at, cool, what's our pillars? And when I say our pillars, on certain platforms, what is the things that we're going to be producing? Instagram, is it B-roll? Is it reaction videos? Is it carousels? So what's the pillars of it? And then what's our message? Is it motivation? Is it business? Is it new homes? Strictly talking new homes. As we're starting off right now, our thing is more so, although quality is massively important, is outreach. How much can we get out? Speed. Because we've been so quiet. People just need touch points. So right now we're working on more so broader content. And then we really narrow down when we actually get a defined audience for new homes, for property. So right now our content's a bit more broader because we're trying to reach more so the masses so that we can refine in terms of, you know, the actual people that we're trying to target to within itself. So the ratio might be maybe 4 posts on Instagram broad, 1 narrow, you know? So we mix and match it. It's all just iterations, really, if I'm being honest, man. It's all hypotheses, just trying it out.
No, that's fair enough. I'm no marketer, but as you say that, the phrase is kind of like top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel come to mind. So you're saying like, well, I'm probably going to butcher this, so forgive me for any marketers that are listening to this, but ultimately it sounded like a lot of the top of funnel stuff will be the kind of, as you said, the broader things that bring people in, and then eventually the bottom of funnel stuff will be to the kind of finer detail in terms of the people that you're actually trying to target, right? No, brilliant. Now, in terms of, forgive me because I've got a very loose understanding of the property market. In terms of my business, I do work with some property businesses, but again, I could probably refine my understanding. So when you're saying things like new homes, lettings and stuff like that, what do we mean by these?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Very, very crucial question, because sometimes you just say these terms and just thinking that everybody kind of gets it. No. So new homes is new build properties. So anything from the ground up that has been built, that is considered as a new build. So you obviously got different classes of developers. So developers, are the people that build the new homes as a whole. And then sometimes you can get home builders. So these are developers that typically tend to do like regeneration projects. Okay. So if you knew what Hackney was like 10 years ago, Hackney's not the same Hackney that it was 10 years ago, you know? And I'm, you know, as well as, you know, the area has been totally gentrified, you know. So you've got so many new build properties that are within the area, and the price tags also changed massively as well. And then you have some small, medium-time developers that do nice boutique development. So that might range from anywhere between 3 units, even 1 unit, up to potentially 20 units, you know. And then you have some that go up to 50. So you've got different classes of developers. So that's the development side. Lettings is the rental side of the business. So the rental side of the business is you have, let's say, Sally, right? She's an investor, she's a landlord, and she wants to rent out of her property. She would use us as an agency to rent out her property. What we will do, we'll charge her a fee. Let's just say that fee is 10%. Let's say that she's renting out her property £1,000 a month. 1,000 times 12,000 pounds. We'll charge 10% of that, so we get £1,200. So that's how we'd make our money off the rental side. For the sales side, in terms of, you know, new homes, how we'd make our money from that. Let's say that you have a developer selling a property for £1 million, which is very, very, very normal in London. It's crazy. We'll charge anywhere between a 2% to 5% fee. But just for simple maths, I say it's 2%. So we'll make £20,000 from a transaction. And then our brokers will get anywhere between 30 to 50%. So everybody eats, you know.
I like that. It's funny because, well, first of all, Sally's my mum's name.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. Prophetic. I don't know. I don't know.
So I was sitting around. My mum's an investor now, I didn't know.
We're speaking it into existence,
this is it. This is it. And secondly, there's a lot of similarities between what I do, because I'm not sure if I told you, but I do recruitment, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities between what I do there. So it's just interesting to hear kind of from the different perspective. And what's interesting as well was that It's funny. I probably should have become an estate agent myself because
They're very similar.
That, and B, I just watch a lot of just property related stuff. I guess I'm genuinely interested in the market. But if you look at my YouTube, it's just house tours, man. House tours, and just, you get what I mean? And there was that.
Well, we're gonna do something. That's good. That's good to know that you do house tours. We've got a nice little campaign that we're working on where we're doing tours with different individuals, just to kind of jazz things up a bit because it's getting kind of boring just seeing a normal house tour and there's nothing within the property. It's just the beauty of the property, but sometimes the person behind it, small conversations. So,
and I'm sure you've seen things like Dubai Hustle,
yeah,
that. And there's these guys in Dubai again, Strada. They've got their
Strada, great, their stuff is super polished as well.
I just watch their stuff all the time. Do you get what I'm saying? So, bro, you guys need to tap into that.
No, do you know what? We got 40 developments in Dubai that we actually sell. We work with Al Dar, who's the biggest Abu Dhabi developer also as well. So predominantly Abu Dhabi, but they've got a few projects in Dubai. So this year we're going to be going to Dubai, having a few conversations, seeing what's going on because my business partner's moved to Dubai.
I was going to say, meet your business partner.
He's doing great stuff as well. He's doing more stuff on the short-term rental side of thing. Really going well. So that's quite interesting that you watch Strada. I really like their stuff. Their culture as well. It's tight-knit team. I can tell their churn rate from a business perspective is really, really good because they focus on the people,
100%,
which is the age that we're in right now. You know, old school sales is not it right now. It's more so, how well can you actually treat your staff? Is it a place that they want to go to work? They've got their Strada fast as well.
Yes.
Great stuff, man. What they're doing, super, super impressive.
This is it, man. It's because one of my boys as well, he's currently hiring for his business, right? Nice. And he was telling me that he's doing content to kind of on a similar scale, where it's like if people can see you and what you're doing, then of course it's almost like a talent attraction type thing, right?
100%.
And I actually sent him their YouTube. I said, bro, I know this is nothing like what you do, but take a look at these guys and see if there's anything you can take from that, because I can only imagine they've got a queue of people waiting to work there.
Good position to be, right?
Exactly. So I say all of that to kind of come to the point. It's like just from a background perspective, like where did your interest in? I know you mentioned that your friend obviously helped you or encouraged you to apply for Foxton's and maybe helped you out there. But where did your general interest in real estate come from?
Yeah, no, brilliant question. So it's funny. So I obviously studied business management in uni, but my landlord that rented out the property to me, interesting enough, in uni first year, I didn't unfortunately get student accommodation, so I had to go into the private market, and it turned out to be my landlord, the landlord that was for my second year also as well, and I didn't even go directly through him. So I was starting to think, how many properties has this guy got? Like, how many properties has this guy got? So the first time I ended up staying in his property, and then I went to another estate agent that had no correlation with the first one, and then I ended up staying in his property again. Like, clearly, there's something that I don't know. So that kind of sparked an interest, and then my mum, during the period of me being at uni and even before, took me to a few property shows, because she always said there's real estate is never going to go down in value, whether that's true or not. I mean, historically in the UK we have seen that it does grow consistently. So I was more so interested on the investment side of things. So obviously when I finished university, I'm looking into different property roles, and it turns out that my friend actually works at a property company within itself, and that was an estate agency role. So I was like, what more better way to learn about property than being an estate agent? So it wasn't my initial desire, but I knew that this is a route into property, and God just literally ordained all of the steps in the right way, where now when I got into property, I went into the new homes team, which they selected me based on my personality for that, because it could have been sales, it could have been lettings, but specifically new homes. So that was massive. So I capitalized on that. I was happy with whatever I got. I didn't apply specifically for that. So just ran with it, doubled down, made the use out of it, and just had the mindset of, this is a paid internship.
Like that.
Although I'm getting some good money, don't get too comfortable. Know that I'm going to be leveraging this for my own advantage, and that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think it's super important when you're in the place of employment. Anyway, I think Rotimi. So I think he was the last episode. No, that's a lie, because I've got Sam's coming out. So Rotimi's episode, I was just posting some of the shorts from that, and one of them from yesterday, I think, was just around that whole, work somewhere to build up the knowledge and just, as you said, kind of paid internship and look at it like that.
For it.
Exactly, 100%. So yeah, it's good to see that's kind of a recurring theme in some of the conversations that I'm having, because again, I need to stress to the listeners that I'm not glorifying entrepreneurship in the slightest. This podcast isn't for people to take away and say, I must become an entrepreneur. I'm speaking solely to the people. These conversations are solely for the people who have that inkling and have an idea, you know? And so therefore, yeah, as I say, I'm speaking to them and yeah, really think about kind of where you're honing your craft and where you're honing your skills and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Okay, cool. So let's bring it back then. So we were at 2021. You've met the guy. He was an hour late for.
So it was an hour late, and for some reason or not, I stayed for that whole hour. And I think that's the right attitude. Never, always being optimistic. Always being optimistic, no matter where you're going to, knowing that, you know what, I've got something that somebody else needs, and somebody else has got something that I need. And if you have that mindset, every single day is an opportunity. Me coming to Croydon today, absolute opportunity. Why is it an opportunity? Because I've got a client that works around the corner. So already I'm just like, when I was waiting in the car, I was like, you know what, I've got a client that's around the corner. Why don't I quickly shoot a video afterwards and then up to Mayfair, quick. Utilize our resources. So 100%. Having that mindset that I am where I need to be, and there is something that needs me right now, every single time. And that gets you far. You yield a lot through that.
Yeah, I like that mentality a lot. I'd consider myself, well, I don't consider myself, I am an optimist, and I could probably be a little bit more opportunistic, but I'm definitely an optimist. And so, yeah, I like to think that things happen for a reason. You are where you are because something, as you say, is maybe needs you at that time, or it may not always be obvious to you. But I do like that. If you're at least conscious of it, then you know nothing's ever a wasted kind of opportunity, right? Never. Like a wasted, I don't know what, we were having a conversation earlier around kind of when unfortunately I had a no-show, for example, and then obviously through a conversation with my boy, it was like, you know what, take advantage of that, sit down, record something else. You get what I mean? So perfect. Yeah, no, brilliant. Okay. Now you've met this guy. Talk to me a little bit then about the kind of business proposition that you put to him. Like what was the I guess in short, what was it? Because obviously that would in turn come into your next move in life, but also just around, I guess, the feelings of approaching this guy. Because from, if my memory serves me correctly, around what you were saying earlier, did you have a relationship with this guy for about 3 months, or before you brought that to him? So talk to me about how you kind of cultivated that relationship to that point of approaching them.
Excellent. So through speaking to him, you get an idea of what somebody's needs are. So what is your bottlenecks? What is it that you're currently struggling with? So he's obviously in lettings, which pays very, very well. Cash flow is great. But management, you're doing all of the heavy lifting. You're dealing with crazy types of problems because you're just at the lower part of the supply chain of property, as opposed to maybe you doing development. The problems that you're having is different from the bottom end of the market. So that was one thing. So I knew that he had problems of time, right? He had a lot. His time was fully allocated to running lettings. So I knew that, there's going to want to be a way out. Number two, he knew about the new homes market, right? He's trying to buy a new homes. He was very, very curious. He was asking me, very inquisitive questions. So after speaking quite a lot, I piqued the interest. I knew that, there is a sense of interest. So upon me obviously speaking to him, I'm telling him more. I'm just giving him value at this point. Every point we have a conversation, I'm just telling him about how the market's going, what the latest things are, the sales, the numbers that I get, but also as well the numbers that these companies are actually making is crazy. Like, Foxtons were making 2% of everything that we will be selling. So if we sold to over $1 million, they're making £20,000. I'll be making 5 to 10% out of that. So from a business perspective, it's amazing. So telling them, giving them as much value as possible. And then as we get speaking, because we were meeting up quite a few different times, I was just like, look, this is what I'm thinking. I'm fully capable of opening up the department of the new homes and the sales. I don't necessarily have all of the resources. I don't understand biz. I don't know how to set up a company. I don't understand as much client acquisition per se, but I've got already developers that I may know of, that I haven't necessarily worked with. I know how to source these different things, etc., etc., etc. So got speaking to him on that level, and I was like, look, I'm happy to, set up shop completely. I own 50%, you own 50%. You're directing it, you're steering the ship forward, and I'm pretty much the runner. I'm the soldier, I'm pretty much the soldier. So that was pretty much what the partnership agreement was. Of course, not everything always goes according to plan. You always have to pivot. It's the nature of business. But that was pretty much the show for the first 6-7 months. We're figuring out lead generation, because we run into that block where it's like, okay, cool, like we've got developers, but how are we getting buyers? How are we getting buyers? So we ran into that situation. We learned paid ads rinsed, really done well. We started to generate a lot of leads. Then the next thing was, okay, fulfillment. There's only one of me. We're going to need more people on board. But then he was taking somebody from lettings, putting them into our business, which is not necessarily the best thing, because then letting starts to crumble. So there were so many different challenges that was facing. So we was just solving problems. And then on this journey, I'm learning how he thinks, how he deals with situations. Okay, we need to get Rightmove. How do you negotiate getting on Rightmove, because their prices are extortionate? So all of these different things, and I thank God for this all of the time. I've never learned so much in such a short span of time, because you're already in an old business. And this is the value for anyone, that doesn't really actually want to take that step fully, just because they don't know what the entrepreneurial life fully entails. They've just been niched down to like a specific sales role, and they've not seen the full 360 of the company, of how the company operates. Go and work at a small company. Go and work at a small business. You will not just do sales. You'll do accounts. You do marketing. You do advertising. You do it all, because small companies need generalists. And although you might not necessarily get your job security per se, you can earn a lot more money, but experience, the wealth, the knowledge, the people that you get to meet as well. You can negotiate higher salaries based on your performance. You can negotiate higher commissions based on your performance. There's so much nuggets in working for a small company. So yeah, all my little cousins or anyone that asks me anything, I get a lot of people ask me, what do you think I should do in this position? I've just finished university, or I've just finished college. I'm like, go work at a small company. Go get a sales job. Go get a sales job at a small company within itself, because they will, in turn, you're right next to a director. You're not far away from a director who's dealing with so many different problems, who might need quick solutions on the ground. So, yeah.
No, brilliant. And so was it that opportunity that you were saying there, just there, that made you take that step basically going out completely alone and doing your own thing then?
So was it that step in terms of me getting into the partnership?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a funnel that worked quite nicely for me, because during that time at Fox's, I had my e-commerce business. So I had that ticking along, and that was really just what I was using to say that that's how I'm going to get out type of thing, right? So it was a beautiful funnel in a sense where that was the best card. Me starting up fully independent, sometimes we get obsessed with this whole idea of ownership and whatnot, but I might not have necessarily what it takes in order to run a full-fledged business. I might not have that counsel. I might not have that experience. I might not have that strategy. So I was like, look, someone's clearly been running this for like 7 to 9 years, however long he is, and it's clearly sort of working. He might not know my business per se, but he knows business and is in property. Let me work with my guy. Let me work with my guy. Work together. We get on like a house on fire. That's a connection. I've got a lot of connections through him, and vice versa as well. So just utilize what was presented at the time. So I feel like sometimes we can get caught up in this self-obsession of wanting to be self-made. I can have that idea sometimes of I want to do everything or nothing's done, the way that I want it to be done. But a lot of the time, that's just that ego, man. There's a lot of people that are better than sales than me, or better at marketing than me. Work with these people, provide them the strategy, give them the KPIs of what it is that you're working towards, and let them get to work. Leverage that, delegate it, learn how to delegate, because that skill within itself is a very, very tough skill. And when you get that right, it's easier to build that empire that you really desire. So I just delegate. I just leverage that partnership. I leverage that partnership, 50% risk. Also as well, skills, experience, network, how to do things. I'm leveraging all of that, as opposed to me just starting up on a one-man band show and not knowing, all right, is it left or right on this junction? All right, there's a car that's just about to come. Boom, I'm hit. Do you know what I mean? Next thing you know, and that hit is 10K fine.
Yeah.
That hit is, right, you know what, employees complaining about this because I didn't actually get employee tax sorted. Little nuanced things like that. So, you know, I was quite fortunate in that regard to where I had somebody that already walked the walk and I just followed the path.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I like that again because not sure if we made it clear to the listeners, but we were obviously put in touch through Denzel.
Yes.
And in his episode, he was talking as well about how he feels a lot of people don't start business because they feel they have to do everything and be everything for a business, right?
Yeah.
And I just like the fact that you've kind of taken a slightly different approach and said, well, look, my end goal is here. Yeah. How can I get there? A, probably as quickly as possible, but B, leverage and utilize resources, etc., available to me, right?
Yeah.
Which I do really like. So I guess that's not something I've ever thought about, but something for any listeners out there, for them to consider in terms of, okay, do I need to start something myself or can I leverage what somebody else has already got going on? Can I add to that, and what value can I bring there as well, right? So otherwise, obviously, you're not really adding value. You're just an employee at the end of the day. Well, I guess employees do add value, of course, but you know what I mean, right?
I get you.
From a strategic perspective. But no, brilliant. Okay, so that was we're in 2021. You've started. What was that transition like from Foxton's to this? Was it smooth? Was it you left Foxton's? How did that kind of play out?
So obviously, you know, whenever you're leaving, that's when you start getting all of the offers because you only value something once it's gone, right? You don't value an opportunity or the person when they're actually there. Until that person actually decides to leave, that's when you actually value them. That's why many people that get into relationships, after their girl said, you know what, I'm leaving, and they're gone, the guy, after a month, he's thinking, he's on his WhatsApp, and the man was like, what are you doing over there? It's like, bro, nothing, man, nothing. You know what I mean? So you only value something once it's gone. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's when proposals, opportunities start to get thrown your way. So you just have to be stoic in mind and know where it is that you're going. So obviously that's a hard transition. Also as well, they've got different covenants and stuff in their contracts and stuff. So you just have to be smart and strategic in terms of how you play things out. Number one. Number two, in terms of me personally adapting to the entrepreneurial life, this is the thing with the corporate mindset, and I've seen this in recruitment when I've recruited other experienced estate agents that's been in a corporate company. You're food. You're getting everything handed to you on a plate, right? You're getting everything handed to you on a plate, number one. So you have that expectation mindset that you should be getting X, Y, and Z. Number two, you're accustomed to sort of normal working hours. And entrepreneurial is a lifestyle. Like, you're always working. And always working doesn't mean at your laptop 18, 19 hours. But when you're going out to dinner, you're thinking about a connection. You'll go to a strategic place. You might, you know, you could easily go Nando's if you're in Canary Wharf, but you might say, you know what, I'm going Rocker just for position. You never know who I might meet. So you're always working in that sense. But because you're in corporate, you don't always adopt that mentality because you're used to the rigidness of the life that you've been living. So it took me a little while to fully fall out of that. And also as well, you're so compliant and worried about every little thing. And when I say compliant, I mean just to the rules that were set at the previous company, the structure, the way in which the previous company done things. And their reason might not be justification, lawful or compliant or anything, but that's just the way that they do it. So you try to adhere to, you know, this narrow way that's been set to you when the way's broad. There's many different ways, you know, there's no limitation in your thinking. You know, there's many different ways to get to that destination, and there's faster routes than the route that you was going. So what I'm trying to say is it was difficult to actually make that change. Took me at least seven towards 8 months to snap out of limited thinking. You know, I was in that limited thinking zone where I just think just one way, or you can't do it this way, or, you know, you have to make 50 calls a day, you have to make 70 calls a day, when really and truly there could be WhatsApp communications. But I wasn't taught at my previous company because it's unprofessional. When now things have evolved and everybody's talking on WhatsApp, sending a video or doing a FaceTime with a client wasn't something that was a normal practice before. But that's what I'm saying about the red tape. There's no red tape in entrepreneurship. You do what works and you get to that outcome. You know, you bend it by force. So yeah, that was really, really difficult. And I think quite a lot of people in corporate life that have started their own venture do struggle with that. From what I've seen in terms of recruitment, when I have recruited people, I see that, they're still thinking limited. They're still thinking compliant. They're not thinking, you know, there's no freedom, there's no abundance in their thinking. Yeah, so I have seen that.
So bearing in mind earlier we said people should work out.
Yeah.
worker places? I know we mainly said maybe potentially smaller places to get a wider, broader experience. But what would your advice be to people who are listening that are kind of in a job right now, maybe at a large firm? Because I'm even thinking, so myself, for example, when I started, I used to be an accountant.
Yeah.
I remember back then when entrepreneurship became something or business ownership became something I was thinking about. I was like, okay, I'll become like an accountant for people, right? Yeah. So that would have been my transition, for example. What's your advice to people in that scenario?
Yeah. I mean, corporate's great. Why? Because they have amazing company standards that you have to adhere to. They also have amazing training. Also as well, what I think is super impressive, their systems and processes of how things work. If you take time and actually just think holistically, how does this operation actually work, and piece the puzzle? If you're in corporate and you're thinking of leaving, you can speak to different departments of what's relevant, what it is that they do, set up a coffee, go to the head office, whatever it may be, have a little chinwag, get a drink, get a coffee, whatever it may be. So there's so many different things that you can extract and leverage out of corporate. But I'll say some of the key things is the training documents within itself. Know it for yourself, but also as well, what is your variation of that? How can you, because SOPs are everything, right? A corporate company is able to be a corporate company because they're standard operating procedures. They're like a McDonald's. You come into a McDonald's, you can have someone that's just come off the boat that you can throw into McDonald's. You can have someone that's just graduated from uni, and then within a week they're running and everything is smooth. So, this is what we have to emulate as small businesses, getting those SOPs in check. So I feel like that's massive. Number two, their systems and processes. How do things work and how are things done? How have they done it? So replicating that and taking that into your stride. And then three, the people. You've got access to so many different people. So speak to maybe the person that works in marketing, speak to the person that works in talent acquisition, and just be inquisitive. Just be like, hey, I just wanted to take you out for a drink. No one's turning down a free drink or a coffee or a lunch. So yeah, just be like, hey, I just wanted to take you out. I just had a few questions. I was just curious. And it can just be from an authentic, raw place, but really and truly, you're doing chess moves. You're looking at, you're a grandmaster, you're saying, okay, cool. This is how I do that. You document it. You've got that for yourself. So you're ready. This is just some small preparation stuff, but more so a mental preparedness. It will prepare you mentally for what is yet ahead. If you're thinking like this. So you can really be tactical. I didn't necessarily do this, but in hindsight, I'd done some of it. I leveraged some of the people, speaking to different people, but I didn't take the systems and the processes and the training document. I didn't do all of that, but you can take some of this stuff and make it your own. I'm not saying take it from a company. I'm saying get inspiration from it.
No, brilliant. And what's it been like in terms of, I'm thinking about not necessarily how I word it, but I'm thinking about what your answer may be in response. But basically, I'm thinking just in terms of the working relationship with your business partner. Obviously, this is someone who was ultimately a client. Yeah. You've now started working with them. I'm thinking, while you said obviously it's great, you've still got a good relationship. Yeah. I'm sure there's been challenges along the way in terms of just working with business partners in general. I'm not saying this guy specifically. If you can, let's try paint some sort of picture around kind of challenges of work, of having business partners and all of that.
Yeah, I think it's super important when having a business partner is identifying their skill sets and what it is that they're doing, right? Because it's a transaction and it's an exchange, and there has to be value on both ends. And also as well, ideally different skill sets. I feel like those are the partnerships that work very, very well. So somebody that has, I don't know, maybe accounting, legalistic background versus somebody that's really good in terms of the front end of the business, the sales, the marketing, all of that stuff. Those formulate a really, really good partnership. So when selecting a business partner, what exactly is it that they're bringing to the table? Because the great bring something to the table all of the time. So having those kind of conversations first and foremost, what exactly are the deliverables that you're going to be doing also as well? What is our aim for the first quarter? What is our aim for the first month? And it might not necessarily be that in depth, but now this is the paradigm that I have when going into a relationship. Get a contract, do things properly also as well. Do things properly as well and have accountability systems. So cool, we're having a meeting 3 times, twice a week, and it's a non-negotiable. So having it legit, because you can easily just fall into a business with your boy. You're excited, you're super, super gassed. And then the worst thing is that after the hype and all of the gold glitter goes away, you're kind of left in a position where it's like, bro, what are you bringing to the table? like what exactly is it that you're bringing? So what's the deliverables? Let it be documented, and let there be an accountability system tailored around the deliverables. So cool. Let's have this meeting on Thursday, because by Thursday we should have ensured that we got that marketing campaign out. Cool. By the end of this week, what's our cash flow looking like? How much have we generated? How much have we deducted? Whatever it is, it has to be tracked and it has to be monitored. So I think that's super, super important. I think it gets a bit more difficult when you've got maybe like a non-exec director or consultant, because they can be like opening up doors, or they could be getting you a certain amount of awareness where it might be a bit difficult to measure. But I think also as well, getting definitive, looking into how you can measure, because you have to track things. You have to track things to know whether you're actually pushing the needle. Like, are you actually growing? If you're just going gym every day, like, what is it that you're doing in the gym? Could you do 45 bench last week and then now you're doing maybe 55? Track these things.
No, brilliant. Thanks for that. So what comes next then? So you've obviously now gone into business with this guy. Let's continue through the timeline of 2021.
Yeah.
You've gone into business. What's been going on?
Yeah, get into business. We're chopping. We're making really good money. Help to Buy season's going on, so we're selling a lot. So I'm doing a lot of the logistical, running up and down. Also as well, my business partner's doing a lot of strategy. He's managing lettings at the time as well. So at this point, between 2021 up to 2022, we're performing. We're doing well. Business is coming in. We're learning also as well so much. And the reason why I say we're learning so much is because during this time, we learned about potentially going into sales, pivoting into sales. We learned also about how to do ads. We learn also as well, how can we work with other agents? So we're learning a lot of new different things as the journey is going forward. It was like we was just trying to rinse, repeat and selling, but would come across different obstacles that we just had to solve, which is just all kind of part and parcel of it. So after that sort of 2022, sort of like mid 2022, obviously now I'm engaged also as well. Lettings is demanding quite a bit of time. There's quite a bit of shifting. I'm dropping the foot off the gas because I'm trying to sort out quite a few different things. So during this period, I'm sorting out my marriage. I'm sort of getting things prepared. And also as well, there's quite a lot that's going on in terms of lettings. I'm heavily involved in lettings at this point as well.
Which you didn't necessarily sign up
which
to.
I did. Yeah, which is not a problem because it's pivoted and it was opportunity. That's like, my business partner was someone that taught me how to really capitalize on opportunity all of the time. The way that he was framed was, super, super opportunistic. So I got that massively from him as well. So it was just like, look, this is an opportunity for you to learn a whole new trade, and that's paid me back dividend. And I'll tell you why that's paid me back dividend. Because in the event of him moving over to Dubai and then me getting married, now I'm in a position where, cool, I am transitioning into sales fully by myself. But the sales cycle, as you may or may not know, is not somebody wants to buy a property, boom, and then you get paid. First and foremost, you need to generate the lead of the buyer. 2, they need to be interested in the properties that you're showing. They need to make an offer. Upon them making an offer, now they need to go through the sales process, which is the mortgage broker, the solicitor, the searches, the inquiries that get raised. So that could take anywhere between a month and 3 months, and then you need to get paid. So let's just say from beginning of you getting a lead to you getting paid, let's just call it anywhere between 5 to 6 months. Right? Which is a long period of no money. So why am I saying that? I'm bringing that in because during the transition of my business partner moving over to Dubai, me now obviously getting married, me working by myself, I was worried because, sales weren't selling at this time. The market took a shift. Help to Buy it got cut off, as we all know. So that market's not popping like that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just bought a brand new house. That's a super important thing, which now I got a mortgage. Now I got a wife. I got a wife to be wherever we're at this journey. So cool.
Interest rates are rising as well.
Interest rates are rising like crazy. So I've got this new house, I've got this new wife, and I'm like, oh boy, long days. Sales is taking about 6 months. So I'm like, okay, cool. What is it that I already have? And this is where I go back to utilizing your resources. I had landlords. I understood a little bit of lettings. I knew the motivation of landlords. I knew that they would always like to either save their time or make more money, right? Airbnb. I was like, okay, cool. Airbnb is going to be my game, right? So I learned about Airbnb. This guy called Ahmed Khan. Excellent. He had one YouTube video for like, I think it was like an 8-hour YouTube video.
8 hours.
8 hours. It's something
Wow.
crazy. I was like, all right, cool. I boxed that, didn't watch it all, but I watched all of the relevant parts. It took me like maybe 2 days. Learned the fundamentals of it, and then I got busy, like contacting all of the landlords on my phone, telling them about this new ancillary service that we've got. Look, I've really got this amazing opportunity. It's going to save you X amount of time. Also, as well, going to triple your earnings in terms of your profits. My whole thing is building relationships, showcasing to you that I can do this to one property, and what more can I do? Of course, I probably got about 60 no's in a day, because I'll be doing the pitch wrong first and foremost, and I'll be refining my pitch, etc., etc. Anyway, ended up meeting an estate agent. And so I found a whole new formula that I made for myself. I got more luck with small independent estate agents that don't have money to put their properties on Zoopla or Rightmove. So I'll look at all of the ones on Spare Room, Open Rent, and contact all of these different agents because they're doing guaranteed rent themselves. So I knew, cool, if I can do really, really well in advertising and marketing, I could still be paying a higher amount but getting a higher occupancy rate. So long story short, I contacted all of the small, medium estate agencies that didn't have money to be on Rightmove or Zoopla, told them pretty much about what I was doing after meeting them at the property. I was just like, look, I'm happy to pay you a little bit extra, so you're making your extra £100, £200 a month. Boom, done that. Took on one property in Hackney, Narford Road, actually. It was an ensuite. Through one ensuite, they had 10 other HMO ensuites in that building. So I knew that I could scale into this. So they was like, look, if you do well on this...
Was it all the same landlord?
It was the same estate agency.
Same
estate agency. So I managed to take that on board through getting one ensuite. Literally within 3 months, I had 8 ensuites just for the first performance.
Wow.
And the beautiful thing is, I didn't have to spend so much money on kitting them out in terms of furniture and whatnot because they was already doing it on a guaranteed rent. They would have people that were on like short mid-term rentals that would be coming out of the ensuites, and then I'll literally just be picking it up. Sometimes I wouldn't even pay them. I'll negotiate and say like, look, I'll pay you the moment that I get the 1,100, but I've got that room. I've taken that room, so it allowed me to scale so quickly. And it's just come through learning a whole new concept, abusing it, and because you're so ingrained, you're so immersed, you're so wired, you find out new patterns, you find out new formulas. Through finding that new formula, then I doubled down on it. I doubled down on it. Typically, you need to have at least like a year worth of earnings. I didn't have that to showcase to him. I'm just like, but I'll tell you exactly what I do. Give me just a month. I'll prove myself. Next thing you know, I got 8 properties. And then there's a whole nother story as to how those 8 properties got diminished. But we'll get into that accordingly.
Wow.
But it happens.
Yeah.
Really, really in the field. So ingraining yourself, being so immersed, being so wide, being so obsessed with what it is that you're doing and mastering your craft and knowing every little crevice, every little cheat point, knowing what your strengths are, communicating your strengths in such an articulate way that the person is persuaded and they have to be on board. It's like, what's no? Like, how does this not make sense that I'm tripling your money? I'm taking off all of the time off your shoulders. And then, of course, because I've said it now, I have to make it happen. I'm a man of my word, so I have to. If I say something, I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was now a whole different junction of my life.
Yeah.
That went from having a lot of money cash flowing in. Of course, I've just slapped down a large deposit. I just got married, kicked out money on a wedding. So I'm out. I'm empty. Business partners moved over to Dubai. I'm like, cool. I'm in the trenches. Let's get busy. Where's the spade? Where's the shovel? Boom, 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 boom. I'm digging. And then I find gold. I find gold, which is that estate agent. We still got a relationship now. I've got a meeting. I know their whole company inside out, how they operate. So I've learned their business also as well, how they operate. So now it's like I've got, Swiss knives.
Yeah.
Like, which knife is it that I'm going to pull out for what battle? So you get to that at a point. Yeah. And that's just through just being locked in and in the game. The more you do, the more you get. Those who endure to the end shall be saved. So it's the person that can stay, is the staying power. Pep's Pep, because he's been in the game for how long? Jose's Jose, because he's been in the game for how long? They've learned a lot of things. They've iterated. So I know that that's a power. Your staying power. Yeah. How long can you stay in the game?
No, I love that. What I want to quickly touch upon the outreach.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were getting 60 no's a day.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your cold calling videos where you're objection handling, for example. Just talk to me about the mindset required in terms of the outreach and the handling the rejections and stuff like that.
When's the next yes? When's the next yes? Like, so the beautiful thing is there's only a certain amount of no's that you're going to get until you get a yes. And I think the most important thing is, if you're not used to doing outreach, is recording your calls first and foremost, so that you can iterate, so that you can refine, right? Because it's not even necessarily practice that makes perfect. It's the person that analyzes, cool, how that result went, what is it that went well, what is it that I could do better, you know. Taking it all the way back to secondary school, I think we learned that, you know, what went well, what didn't go well. But doing that with everything, from this podcast, probably going to do it, all my sales calls, my training, my meetings, all of these things, and even your wins, analysing your wins. And you know what? I did close that deal, but was it a bit of luck? Was there really skill that was involved in it? You know, so just being super, super kind and objective with yourself. But just to answer your question directly, with outreach is having that mindset that, I'm just working to my next yes. Every no that I get is closer to my next yes. With that fundamental paradigm that you're iterating, so you're analysing, you're refining, you're analysing what went well, what didn't go well, on kind of like each call subconsciously. At the end of the day, I tell my team all of the time, like, what's your review of the day? I used to have a book. I've still got it at home. It's fully packed out. Every single day, I just, not journal, but just document, like, right, like, today I can't lie, I smashed it. I got worky. And then, you know what? Today I can't lie. Managed to get work done, but I was just like lazy above one, like, you know. So just being real with yourself and allowing these things to kind of inspire you, you know, and riding off the momentum. When you get a yes, I always say this, you know, one of my guys recently, he's been struggling for a little while, managed to get his first offer and he got another offer the following day. Why did he get that offer? Momentum. Every phone call that goes well, just using that as a source of energy, right? Using that like practically and saying, you know what? Oh my gosh, I got this call. I got another call with them at 12 o'clock tomorrow. That's probably going to close. And then I've got this call with Sally. Sorry, I love using the name Sally. I got this call with Sally that's coming up later on around 6 p.m. today. Even if it's not a close, it's another appointment. But tricking your brain to say that, oh my gosh, I've got so much things that are buzzing. And then in all of your conversations, utilizing all of the interest that you have got, like, oh yeah, look, I'm probably not going to be able to do 12 o'clock just because I got a call later on with Sally, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to free up my diary at this time. So it's like you're reminding yourself that you get to work and you're letting a buyer know that you're busy, or you're letting a prospect know that you're busy, you're someone that's active, because that is the art of sales. People buy because they see other people buy. Hence why crypto was like massive bull run, because everybody's just running off fear of missing out because everybody else is interested. Even had one of my guys in the office the other day was like, oh yeah, no, you know, Solana's the best time to buy right now. I was like, oh, like it was just kind of like peaking some. I'm not even a crypto guy, but I'm just seeing that, like, oh my gosh, other people are doing this, I might miss out. You know, group think is massive. So also as well, that concept is quite important when it comes to prospecting, you know? Yeah. So, yeah.
No, brilliant. Now bring us to current day. What's been going on?
Yeah, current day. So we're getting busy. Yeah, so Renowned Homes is, you know, we're literally going from strength to strength. So the great thing is the nature of our business, we essentially represent developers. So developers are our clients and we basically property matchmake. So we're in the middle, buyers are here. Buyers need to buy from developers. We've got over 216 developments across our books. So we match the best properties based on their requirements and their motivations. So if you describe to me that you want a penthouse on a 36th floor, that you've got a skyline view, my job is to find you that penthouse on a 36th floor with a skyline view, and I'll probably get you something with floor to ceiling windows just for a little bonus as well. So that's what our company do. We find you the perfect property based on what you've described, what you're after. And also as well, when you get really, really good, you know what they like even when they haven't said it, right? So that's the nature of my company. So currently right now, there's 7 within the team, and we've got an actual property academy alongside, because all of the time, you know, different property events and unis that I've spoken to, a lot of people have always asked me, how do I get in property? It's so difficult. I've been applying for so many jobs, but they say I haven't got experience. So there's a whole marketplace of people that want to get into property, but they just have no direction. They have no experience whatsoever. So any work in business that's really making money and that's maybe not a massive PLC company, they cannot spend the time that's required to train, and they can't spend the money on leads that they're going to be burning on recruiting people. So it's super difficult to get into property. So what we've created a property academy for aspiring agents where we train them at A to Z, everything that they need to know in order to get into a estate agency, all of the tips and tricks, all of the little negotiation tactics, and also as well product knowledge about the market. You know, it's a super comprehensive academy that we've got. It's super practical. They earn as well whilst learning, which is massive. So that's a different arm of the business that's going from strength to strength now. That's doing really well, and it fits in really nice. So that's where we're currently at right now.
Nice.
We had a really good quarter, one of the best quarters that we've ever had. One of our top negotiators managed to take £20,000 for himself, which is massive, right? Which is massive. He's never seen that money in his life. So, you know, changing lives like that on a micro level is massive, because it's not just the money, but it's what the money does for him. It frees up his time. It gives him assurance. He's seeing the growth trajectory of the company, the new things that's happening, the new departments, the new opportunities. And I think that's really massive, especially when anybody's on commission, commission only, you know? So yeah, really good.
Very nice. So what's next then?
Yeah, I mean, what's next is we're looking into the finance space. So we've got a lot of meetings set up just because, you know, for the sheer most part, anywhere between 150 to 180 leads we're getting weekly. So you can imagine that's massive value to all of our, you know, people that work within a solicitor firm, people that work within a mortgage brokerage firm, people that work in a moving company, furniture companies. So we have these partnerships already formed, but now we're potentially taking a look at getting into the mortgage space, just because we've got so much leads and mortgage brokers need leads. So that's probably the next big step for us, but really and truly is mastering our craft. You know, 1,000-mile journey begins with a step. This step that we're on right now, let's make sure that we've mastered this level before we get to the next chapter, you know? So that's currently where we're at right now, just doubling down on what we got, refining. Remember, build, optimize, scale. So now we're optimizing what we have.
I like that.
You know?
I like that. Yeah. Sure. What does success mean to you?
Do you know what? Truthfully, if I'm to give you my exact definition of success, doing exactly what God has ordained me to do and flourishing in the best capability and way that I possibly can do that certain thing. You know, that's what I'll define success as for me, personally.
Nice. And what would your kind of final departing words be for the listeners out there that are sitting on the fence, getting their things started and off the ground? Yeah.
So ideas are easy to have. Everybody's got ideas, but execution is that hard thing to do. Only a few will do the execution part. So be part of the few. Execute. You don't need to start on 100%. All right. Market viable product. If you're 50% of the way there, start it. If you've got a course that you want to release and you don't actually have the training material, get the marketing sorted, get it out there. Once you got a customer, figure it out. If you've got an e-commerce business that you want to start advertising like you got products already. Once you get that sale, start figuring out from the supplier what you need to get. You don't need to be 100% of the way there. Start it. Start talking to people like you've already got that product, like you've already got that business, because you have, and allow the opportunities to come in. So that's what I say.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Boy, if people want to tap into your wisdom a bit more and they're like, right, this guy, he's clued up. Let me follow him on the socials. Where can people do that?
100%. So I'll kickstart off with LinkedIn. So Sean Zvandasara. The surname, I'm sure it's probably going to be in the YouTube, but it's Zvandasara, and Sean spelled the Irish way, Sean. Instagram, Sean Zvandas. I didn't want to do the full name. So SeanZvandas_. And then TikTok, Sean New Home Keys. But the business within itself, which is a name that's going to be renowned. No pardon. Renowned Homes. Instagram, I think it's renowned_homes actually on Instagram, and then renowned homes on LinkedIn, and the same also as well for TikTok. So
good stuff.
It'll
all be in the description anyway. So
smooth.
All good. But listen, Sean, I have so much more questions. But as you know, I've got your good friend Joel turning up.
Yeah, no, we're all good. We're all good. We don't want to overcook it as well. Little is more, man, sometimes.
Yeah,
so I appreciate you having me on. It's been wonderful, man. Thank you so much.
Maybe we have to part 2 it. Who knows?
Part 2, who knows? Let's see.
I noticed you didn't mention any plans to go to Dubai yourself.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? Like I said, we got 40 new developments in Dubai. Super exciting stuff. So Dubai, definitely going to be in Dubai this year. We're speaking about companies like Strada and stuff. It will be good to definitely touch base just to see how these guys operate. And got a few people on the ground there as well. So let's see. Who knows? Great stuff, man. Listen, wonderful.
Sean, thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine, Darren. Thank you.
Boy, guys, ladies, gentlemen, as you just heard there, what an episode. Sean Zvandasara, renowned homes, honestly, doing big things. Who knows? He himself could be in Dubai, although they've got presence out there already, man. 7 staff members. It's unbelievable, Jeff. You love to see it. But listen, guys, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I need you to hit up all your friends with these episodes, because these gems, the reason I'm doing the podcast is because people need to hear this stuff. So make sure you're hitting up all your friends with these links to episodes like this, because honestly, amazing stuff. Sean, thank you once again.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Guys, I've been your host, Spainy, with my fantastic guest, Sean.
Take care, guys, man. It's been a pleasure. Stay locked in.
Brilliant. Stay locked in indeed. This has been the Blackprint, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Way.